Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. So we are flying out the Mirage again, third time. Thank you my full crew members over Laning 11B and COTS, all the Foxman all members, all the Fishpan members, all subscribe, and let's get into it. So yeah, we have another 1v1 here against the MLD now. Remember, don't take this too seriously. This doesn't mean anything. It's just, and there are some bugs. As you see, I wanted to start talking about the BVR because I don't know why. In normal matches, I'm not having this, but here on the custom, there's just a bug that I cannot detect the MiG-23 in less than 30 kilometers for some reason. Just the target just doesn't appear. It does not appear. And because of that I end up dying a lot for the MiG. As you see, just the locks kind of glitches out a little bit, and it just happened once, so I really don't know what was happening in this custom, so I don't know. So ignore this BVR engagement because it doesn't mean anything basically because of that, you know. But yeah, let's talk about the Mirage against the MLD. Obviously, as I said, don't take this too seriously. Just a couple of friends having fun against a 1v1 in a 1v1. And as you see here, we have an example of the bug again. The missile tries to track. It does some weird stuff, and then you lose his lock, and I cannot get a lock again. I just cannot. So I don't know what was happening, but still. But anyway, of course, we have these two aircraft. They are from the 80s. They're both from the 80s. But you have to think that the MLD is still technically a third generation aircraft, you know, a very modernized one. It is basically like a 3.5 generation aircraft because in many tests, especially in Israel, because they actually had the MLD to test that there, I think, or at least an ML. Not the early M's and MS's, I think. I might be wrong on that, but still. And they tested against F-15s, F-16s and stuff like that. And the MiG-23 against the F-15A, against the F-16A, and against the F-16, it completely dominated the ability of the F-16 to just run away from the battle. You know, MiG-23 could just pull power on the engine and just ran away if they wanted. The climb rate was better. The turn rate was pretty similar, and yeah, as you know, the MLD is a very, very capable aircraft, especially in a turn. Against the F-15, I don't remember the results exactly, but it was something like the F-15 obviously is superior, but the MLD was not an aircraft that you just... it's not like a MiG-21, you know, it is a proper dangerous aircraft in that engagement. So with that in mind, you know, you have to think that it is still a very dangerous aircraft. The main problem with it will be its radar. I mean, even though the radar is pretty alright, to be honest, I think it has its problems, obviously, but I think it's alright because the Russians actually had a different doctrine back in the day, because they didn't use pulse Doppler or anything like that. They actually just used normal modes, you know, for the radar, and used a different type of way to just ignore ground clutter, you know. So basically it's immune to notching, the radar on the MiG-23, which can be very, very much a problem when you are facing it on the BVR conditions, you know. So the problem with the radar is mainly the ground clutter, obviously. It still has some filtering, but still it's not that much. Obviously you have at low altitudes the MTI mode, but that mode was just to when you are flying at low altitude, so it even doesn't work in War Thunder at past like 2,000 meters. So yeah, it's not a mode that you need to use, and not a very good mode in general. It's just a way to ignore the ground clutter completely if you actually needed to look down like that. So yeah, but that's the main thing. I mean even though it has a very good radar, I think it's one of the best radars from that time, you know. And here's the bug happening again. But it was still limited in its range and its ground clutter abilities. So when facing a Mirage 2000, you have to be careful because the 2000 will have a better radar in general, you know. That's the main thing, you know, about these two aircraft. I think comparing the weaponry, especially the cannon, I think the MiG-23 is way better. I just prefer it. I really don't like the DEFAs, as you know. But yeah, they're both equally, they have a learning curve, so consider that. And yeah, died again. And here we will have some dogfights as well. But yeah, in the weaponry, the guns, I still prefer the MiG-23, but still, in the sense of the missiles though, I think the Mirage has a bit of advantage on the longer range engagements with the Super 530. It's a very dangerous missile against like really far away targets, very much comparable to the AIM-7F, you know, in a sense. Not really, you know, it's still less range than that, but it's still very much a competitor to that top spot of being those good missiles in longer ranges, you know. But it doesn't mean that the R24 is bad. I still prefer the R24 in shorter ranges, especially until like 15 kilometers, just because it burns for like it's so much powerful, much more powerful than the Super 530 in the rocket engine. And it just goes stealth because it has a short burn time of only 3 seconds, which means the target won't be seeing your missile. So that's an advantage, you know. And that's why I really enjoy the R24 more than the Super 530. But the Super 530 is very much a good missile. In the IR missiles, I think we have two things to consider. First, obviously the MiG-23 can take 4 or even 6 of those R60s. And obviously we still don't have, for some reason, I mean, I know it's statistics and stuff like that, but as you know, I am a defendant of the MLD receiving its R60M. But if you compare it, the R60 to the MatAWG, obviously the MatAWG is better. But if you compare the R60M to the MatAWG, which is a possibility in the future, I think I prefer the R60M. Especially in dogfights, you know, it tends to have a much lower minimum altitude, minimum distance for the target. It's basically 200 meters. So yeah, that just means that the missile turns very, very, very well, you know, and very fast. Something that the MatAWG, it takes a little bit of time to actually start turning, you know. Obviously, the R60M has a larger FOV, you know, in the missile, which makes it a little bit more susceptible to flares, you know. But to be honest, the MatAWG is also very susceptible to flares. So, yeah, remember in the code in the game, they all have the same IR CCM capabilities. Doesn't mean that it's realistic, I think, but still, in game, the AIM-9L, the MatAWG, and the R60M, they all have the same IR CCM capabilities. The only thing that changes is the FOV of the missile. Obviously, the R60M can pull a little bit more due to the FOV, because you can actually start turning like first, because the FOV will be able to look to the other side easily, in an easier way, you know. So it's a downside. The flare sensitivity on the R60 is the downside of the missile being actually better, in my opinion, in the dogfight. Obviously, the MatAWG, they have more range, but see how the missile there, they just went straight and then started turning. The R60 will start turning way sooner than this. That's what I mean in a dogfighting missile, you know. But that's just my personal opinion, you know. I think it was pretty balanced, the turning capabilities and the flight performance, if you want to talk about that. But it is just a matter of the pilot, to be honest. I'm not the greatest pilot in the Mirage 2000. I prefer a lot the MiG-23 over this, just because I'm more comfortable flying the MLD. So it is just a matter of getting used to the Mirage 2000, and I would be able to do a lot more. But as you see in the one turn, yeah, the Mirage just it cannot take that many Gs so quickly, you know. As you see here, I'm at 800 kilometers per hour, and the slats are not opening, and that means that the aircraft is a brick, you know. So it's something that you really have to be careful. It's something that it's complicated with the Mirage. The one turn, if the MiG-23 actually retains its energy properly, you know, maintain a very good energy management, it will destroy you in the one turn. But the Mirage has a chance as well, but it's just a matter of energy turns. Obviously, these 1v1s are kind of unrealistic, but still. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about. I know a lot of people enjoy the Mirage more, but still. See ya guys, bye.